Yeah, we're live now. But yeah, no, I think I accidentally hit a paddle with him while I was talking to him, and I didn't choose any of the dialogue options. And I think one of my paddles is assigned to B, which is just like back out of the conversation. And he was like, "Oh, you're trying to run away from me, huh?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." I accidentally fat fingered my paddle, and then yeah, I just gunned him down. Yeah, it was quite funny.
Same outcome.
Yeah.
That's reactive AI, that is. You're lagging every now and then. It's not too bad, but just so you know, just check your connections and stuff.
Oh, I shouldn't be. I'm wired in. We're running around like a 3000 kbs like we normally do. I should be fine.
It's not much. It's only every now and then again. It's just a little fuzz.
Is it me not being close enough to my mic, or is it more of an internet issue? I don't really know.
I don't know. I'll let you know if it gets worse, but it's fine as is. It hasn't happened in that whole conversation we just had, so.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully we're good.
Okay. Socials are up. Just got to get in the control room to check chat. Because of course, everyone's going to be so excited to see us, their favorite content creators,
talk about something they could be playing.
Yeah. And you know, I've been thinking maybe we don't actually talk about Starfield at all, and instead we just talk about the whole timeline of the Activision Blizzard King deal. How do you feel about that?
I feel like I'm no longer available for the show.
I feel like my legs just went numb.
Yeah. Feel like I need an ambulance.
Yeah, I can feel the right side of my face drooping. Oh no. Okay. Right. Let's kick off then. Let's jingle and get into it.
Oh yeah.
Big boy episode.
We're jingling. Hi Timmer. But yeah. Go.
Hell yeah. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to episode 112 of the Quick Resume podcast. Big episode today, isn't it?
Yeah.
No?
It's relatively large.
Exciting times. Yeah, relatively large, I would say. Bigger than your average day. Bigger than your average Quick Resume podcast. If you haven't been here before, his name is Tim and my name is Deck.
Hello. You did that the other way around.
Hi.
That was weird.
Yeah, that was strange, wasn't it? Better, worse?
Yeah. I don't know, it just kind of caught me off guard, man. Just let me know next time off air when you're going to do something like that.
Sorry, yeah, okay, will do. And Starfield is released into early access. Reviews are up. The internet has, of course, expressed its displeasure at Xbox
pleasure.
having any success. And pleasure.
It's been both.
It's been both. There's a lot to talk about today. Well, there's a couple things to cover that isn't Starfield related. So I say we just zip through that first, and then we sort of get into the good stuff, into kind of Starfield the reaction, Starfield the reviews, and then Starfield our kind of first impressions. Spoiler free, by the way. No spoilers today. Probably not for a couple of weeks, maybe even longer. So just so you know, you're safe here. This is a safe space.
Yes.
For explorers. So we're going to skip the whole what have we been playing, but I would like to hear, well, you finished Final Fantasy, so I would like to hear final closing thoughts on that.
Final closing thoughts on Final Fantasy. Nice, man.
Not just a pretty face.
Yeah, you're good. You're good at this. So I finished Final Fantasy. My goal was to wrap that up before Starfield, because obviously I don't want to have two fatty boy RPGs on the go. And yeah, man.
Fatty boy?
Yeah, fatty boy RPGs. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's a standard term, man. Standard term in the business.
Normal lexicon, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's good, man. Yeah, really good, actually. I think as I messaged you when I beat it, I'd say it's probably my game of the year so far, from what I've played so far this year. Obviously, that's been so far, I think, Resident Evil 4 remake took the gold for that one. And then I had like Remnant, and probably
Mhm.
I can't remember what my other third place was, but yeah, I think that's knocked.
Midnight Suns.
Yeah, I think it was Midnight Suns. Yeah, but I think that's knocked Resi off the top spot. And then yeah, Resi now second and Remnant third. But yeah, no, yeah, really, really good. I like the way it wrapped up. I think it had a good ending. It got absolutely nuts as well. Like the final like bits, just crazy, like cinematic and cool and nuts. I mean, most Final Fantasies kind of fly off the rails in the final act, and this one didn't disappoint. Yeah, man, it's just really quite spectacular. Like in terms of like its scale and like some of like the story points and some of the action scenes and the icon fights and
Set
stuff like
pieces.
that.
Yeah.
It just yeah, it's on a scale I haven't seen before. Like it just makes you feel so fucking cool. If you ever wanted to just play a game and feel awesome and feel epic and like high fantasy vibes, like absolutely pick this one up. Like it's great. Um, and yeah, it's quite similar to Hogwarts in the sense of when you get all like the abilities and stuff like that, and you start to cycle through them and mix up combos and figure out what works. Like it just gets so cool and it just flows so well. All this stuff, and yeah, man, it's like an easy like 9 out of 10 for me. That game, really, really good. Had its low points, had its slow points, and stuff like that. But every RPG is going to have that when those set pieces and main story points are just so fucking nuts. There's going to be those low points as well. Just you can't make a game completely like that. It's just not in the budget. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, really good, really impressed, and yeah, glad I wrapped it up in time for Starfield because now I can just full attention on that. So yeah,
Nice, sounds
good.
good. So what I'll do is I'll play Starfield until Final Fantasy
Arrives on
16
Xbox.
comes to Xbox, which is
Yeah.
so a couple of years or something,
I
um,
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, they did say. I think I remember reports coming out saying like they weren't happy. Square Enix are never happy with their sales, but they were
no.
saying that they weren't happy. Then they said they were quite happy with how it performed. But yeah, I mean, who knows? With this sort of relationship, that Xbox is sort of rekindling with Square Enix. I think PlayStation might have locked down the 7 remakes for a little bit, but in terms of like the new 16, maybe there is some leeway in that coming a bit quicker to Xbox at some point.
There was a recent rumor about the 7 remake coming to the Switch 2 as a launch title. It's like pinch of salt. That didn't come from a credible source, really.
Okay.
But that would indicate to me that whatever exclusivity period PlayStation has been, shadow dealing behind the curtain is coming to an end. So, that could potentially indicate a Xbox release as well. We'll have to see. Who knows with Final Fantasy? But
Yeah.
it's clear Xbox has, Phil has been putting in the hours, sliding some dollaroos under the table, sliding a tequila shot down the bar
Yeah.
with his friends
to
over at
our
Square Enix.
to our boys, yeah, over at Square Enix, yeah. What a lad.
And also, just while we're on the topic, I remember it's not on the notes, but I just remembered. They just hired a new Japanese what the fuck do they like relationships manager,
Oh, okay.
who has been at PlayStation for the last 8 years. They're clearly not giving up on the territory. They are.
Oh god.
They're really trying.
Yeah.
What?
No, I was saying like that's not good,
Oh,
right?
okay.
A guy working at PlayStation for 8 years is now the relationship manager for Square Enix. Is that what you're saying?
No, for Xbox.
Oh, you
And
said
she,
PlayStation.
yeah, she worked at PlayStation, and now she's come. Now she's been hired at Xbox.
Oh, I see. Okay, I thought you said she was hired at Square Enix. Okay, sorry.
So she's Team Green now,
Yeah.
and so Xbox clearly isn't giving up on the territory, and we know that because they've been doing like a lot of good work with Atlas for like the Persona, like Persona Tactica, eventually Persona 5. Is that the
Yeah.
newest one?
Persona 5. Yeah.
Game Pass as well, late, but Game Pass, So that it's working. Whatever they're doing, it's working. Getting Japanese devs more on board. So rising tide lifts all boats, sort of thing. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to hear it. I think Final Fantasy 16 looks really fun. It obviously did really well.
Blessed be the
I'm
year.
blessed be the year. You know, I think one day that is a game I'll play. Like I said, I still never played a Final Fantasy game. I would really like to enter the game at Final Fantasy 7, enter the series, but
I
I
think
understand they're not really connected, so it's not a big deal. But
yeah, they're all their own universes and stuff like that, so they're not really connected. I think if you're looking for a more tailored actual Final Fantasy experience, yeah, probably 7 is probably your best bet. I think that has more of what the series tends to offer. I think 16 is taking it in a new direction. You know, it's very action orientated and stuff like that, and it's still quite linear in its path and stuff like that. You get some open areas and things like that, but it's quite linear and it's quite action focused. But yeah, I think seven's probably your best, a good modern entry point for you. I think because obviously you played things like DMC and stuff like that. You know, Final Fantasy 16 is going to give you those vibes with just a bit more of an actual world building and storytelling more than DMC. DMC is just fucking stupid. It's great, but it's the story's kind of it's good bad. But yeah,
sure, cool. Well, that's awesome. Look at us go. Look at us go, finishing games, getting stuff out of the way for the next big Xbox exclusive. I know I said I wasn't really going to cover what we've been playing, but then I, of course, forgot that I actually just finished Hogwarts as well. So I'm going to quickly cover that as well.
Go.
Overall, my thoughts didn't change all that much. I thought it came together quite well. But I just found the game annoying a lot of the time. Overall, I'd give it, I think, a 7.5. I enjoyed my time with that. I'm glad I played it. It's like we said in previous episodes, it's absolutely perfect if you're just a fan of that franchise and you wanted to live and inhabit and do everything that the Hogwarts experience has to offer. But if you are wanting to role play and do a particular thing, it's not really that.
No.
And maybe that's my mistake for thinking it was more of a role playing experience. It's not. It's really a bit more of action adventure. But then the game forces you to do shit like plant stuff and fuck around with your room of requirement and talk to cabbages and shit. And it's like, I don't want to do that, but it forces you to do it to unlock spells that you need to progress the story and stuff like that. I finished the game with, I think, apart from the dark art stuff, I think maybe 4 spells I didn't even unlock because they were just such a pain in the dick to do. It's like, I'll go into the forest and capture a load of animals, like a bat. It's like, oh, no, I'm not doing. What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with me learning a spell?
It doesn't.
So yeah, that was my biggest problem. And honestly, the bigger my arsenal got in terms of spells, the more annoying I actually kind of found the combat, because the game expects you to use it. Or when I didn't like I found it really fiddly, like the changing. I don't know why they just didn't have a spell wheel. That would have been so much better.
Okay.
You had to hold RT and then a direction on the D-pad to change to your next. You had set 1, set 2, set 3, and set 4, and I just found that really fiddly. So that kind of came apart a bit for me. But it's fun. I had a good time. 7.5. Play Hogwarts if you're a fan of Harry Potter. If you're not, give it a go anyway, because it's very pretty and the world of Harry Potter is still unlike really anything else. So it's worth a crack simply just for that.
Yeah, it is a good game. And I think I agree with you. I think if I had to rate it, I think I'd probably rate it. I'd be a bit nicer. I'd probably give it an 8. But yeah, I would definitely be floating around the 7.5 to 8 region for sure. It didn't blow me away either, but still a great game. Yeah, 8, 7.5 or an 8 is still a great score. It's considered a very good game. So
yeah. But it's an important thing to hold in mind as we go into the Starfield discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so that's what we've been playing. So as I say, let's go over some of the smaller news this week, the non-Starfield stuff, and then we'll come into that and we can just kind of go on a big log binge about everything Starfield.
Yeah.
So, very quickly, Embracer Group. You remember Embracer Group?
I do. I do.
Giant publisher that bought like 60 studios in the
they're
last
cutting
4
loads,
or
aren't
5
they?
years. And then, yeah, a deal they made fell apart because it was a verbal agreement rather than anything on ink. So they got fucked with that. They were going to sell, and what we found out later that they were going to sell to a Saudi company. Can't remember the name, but that was the deal that fell through. So they're really struggling, and they've had to shut down Volition, who is the studio behind the newest Saints Row.
Yeah, well, that didn't do too hot anyway. The newest Saints Row.
It didn't do too hot, but I mean, it hit 70s, didn't it?
I don't think so.
Really?
I'd be very surprised. I thought it was like 50s to 60s.
Is it fucking called? Is it just? Oh,
I think it's just called
right.
Saints Row. Yeah.
Yeah, 63.
Yeah. Not too hot.
No, not too hot. I don't know if they made anything else. Volition. I don't. Oh yes, they are a long-running company. This is just a blind spot in my knowledge, but did they make all of the Saints Rows?
I don't know. I've played a couple Saints Rows, but it's not one of those games I tend to follow the studio that makes them either.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, they did. Oh wow, I didn't realize this studio had such a history. Oh fuck. Yeah, Volition under THQ. They were under THQ previously.
Okay.
Created Red Faction and the Saints Row series.
That's Red Faction, yeah, like Guerrilla and stuff like that. I think that was quite a good game, I think.
The studio developed 2 other games, Agents of Mayhem as well.
Yeah, that did it? I thought that did pretty bad.
It did fine. I don't know why this studio kept getting typecast into the same fucking game over and over again.
Reskin. Yeah.
I mean, maybe they wanted to. I don't know. Agents of Mayhem, 67. It's all right. But yeah. Obviously, the early Saints Rows were really popular for kind of being, GTA, but a bit silly. Well, the early Saints Row was a bit less silly, but it gradually got more and more ridiculous.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I didn't actually mind the first couple Saints Rows. Like, they're actually all right, and then it just started getting absolutely just bonkers. They just took it in a direction where they were like, we can't compete with the likes of like GTA and stuff like that, right? So we just need to go down like a wacky route, turn it a bit more sandboxy, a bit more fun. And then I'm not sure when Crackdown and Crackdown 2 released, but I think Crackdown 2 and stuff like that probably took away from that as well. So they were stuck in this weird like limbo of like, we can't do, we're just stuck in the middle of both of these games. How do we make ourselves unique, sort of thing?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame because I think I can't remember if it was Saints Row the third or if it was the second one. I can't remember. We played one of them, I think, didn't we? Quite a bit because it was like co-op and it was fun.
Yeah, I think it's Saints Row 2. I think we played quite a bit. Yeah. Yeah, decent.
So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. It's especially a shame because clearly the studio thought, oh, finally some financial security, and they released one bad game, and that's it, done.
Yeah, it's rough. Yeah,
that is really rough. I don't know how many employees they had either. Let's have a quick look.
I imagine a fair amount.
236.
Yeah,
like it's a big team. So hopefully they get hoovered up in other places around the industry. But my God, someone needs to sort out Embracer. Like they're just crumbling. This is just going to happen. If I was under Embracer right now, I'd be shitting myself. And it's a real shame because some really good studios have been picked up by Embracer. I think Gearbox is under them, which is a bit concerning. And supposedly there is a new Borderlands looking to be revealed quite soon.
Okay.
And what was the other one? The guys who made Deep Rock Galactic. I remember when they got acquired, I was a bit bummed out because they seemed like a perfect fit for Xbox. Ghost Ship Games, maybe? Coffee Stain? Oh, fuck, which was it?
I don't know. Can't remember.
Stain
but I mean, it's the sort of thing where maybe, you can pick some of these up out of the bargain bin, Not to say that any of these guys deserve to be in the bargain bin, but
yeah, I mean, being under Embracer has definitely devalued them, which is a
Mhm.
real shame. Yeah, Coffee Stain. Yeah, it's Coffee Stain. That's so funny.
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, that's happening. So yeah, hope they land on their feet. But it's always a shame when studios with long histories like that just get killed just for one bad game. You know, it's just a lot of pressure. I say bad, like a 60. You know, I don't know. I remember the original Destiny was like low 70s. Do you know what
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean?
I mean, the whole review scale is just out of whack these days, isn't it? It's like if it's not a 9, people consider it a bad game. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's yeah, like a high 60s and a low 70s can still be a very good game, especially if it appeals to a certain genre you like or anything like that. You know, plenty of games I love, you know, that are in that region of score and stuff like that. You know, there's probably a lot of people out there which do genuinely enjoy games like Saints Row and Redfall and stuff like that. You know, we see like a 60 attached to it, but you know, like everyone has their own taste, their own opinions. So, you know,
Yeah.
you shouldn't just throw a game or shut a studio just because it doesn't hit the 8 to 9 to 10 mark. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, I guess we're being a bit naive because ultimately it's about money, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Destiny was
it
marketed
isn't
enough
yeah, it isn't
that it
because
made
of the
money.
review score. Yeah, it's because Embracer are in the shitter. Uh, and yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it maybe just didn't sell exactly
Saints Row
how
didn't
it
sell
needed.
enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got like a whole long philosophy on why I think the game scales are like that, and the averages are higher. Like we say, like 7 is considered average in the game industry. It's really
Yeah.
weird. Not a
Yeah,
conversation for
yeah.
today.
People literally see a 7 and actually genuinely think that's not a very good game and I shouldn't spend my
Yeah,
money on it. Like that's the sort of
yeah,
vibe a 7 gives these days. Yeah.
mm.
Which is wrong. It shouldn't be like that,
it's,
but
it's bonkers. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's that, and yeah, it's funny because we'll be coming full circle around to the review discussion. Well, maybe it is a maybe it is a discussion for today. Then we'll see. All right. Well, next honourable mention is Baldur's Gate. That whole thing. One of the devs said, I think the community manager said on Twitter that it should be coming to Series X and Series S sometime between September and November. Guess what? We're in September now, so in the next month or two.
it's pretty
Um,
good. Yeah, that's quicker than I was expecting.
yeah, but, I mean, very strange. This whole thing has been very strange. There's
Mm, yeah.
can you ever think of a game that's like that has changed like its release schedule and then they're like posting updates on Twitter? I don't know. I guess it's because they're kind of the early access guys, you know, with Baldur's Gate being early access for years and years and years. That's
Mm.
just kind of how they roll. It's just very strange, you know. How you feel
It
about that?
it is, yeah. I mean, the entire thing is strange from the, you know, it not being ready and not coming to the consoles to then it coming to consoles to then, yeah, like regular, like you said, like regular updates and stuff like that of when it's going to be, yeah, all this sort of stuff. Yeah, it is a bit odd, but you know, I think this all comes from it being quite a special case. You know, this game is just so damn popular and good at the moment, you know, that it's kind of created its own special space for this sort of thing. You know, I don't think you're going to see stuff like this happen often. Um, but yeah, no, it definitely is interesting and yeah, something I've not really seen before. But
No, I mean it's good that the whole thing has been expedited because everybody shut the fuck up as soon as as soon as they announced that it's going to be coming this year. Like all the chatter stopped. Like
mm,
nobody was like, "Oh God, Starfield's so dead by comparison." Well, we've got this game of the generation, you know, and everybody shut up because it was clearly just a, you know, a console warrior talking point. You know, it's just like, oh, you're too invested in this.
yeah,
Um, so it's great. You know, it's good. More games everywhere. That's great. Joaquin's here, Tim. Our
he
mod is
is.
here for our podcast. How
He's
cool is
on
that?
time. Yeah. All right, mate.
Like we say that like he owes us anything.
Yeah. Could you show up to
Fucking
work
time,
today,
mate.
mate?
Yeah. Don't forget to clock in your hours. Queen says in the chat, fun fact, the Deep Rock Galactic guys were with Xbox when they were press play and Xbox shut them down and let them keep the IP. That is a fun fact. Yeah, press play. That is a fun fact. I love fun facts.
Ah.
Hmm.
I love that. I'm only here because I have not slept playing Starfield all night. Nice, man. Respect. Got a lot of respect for that.
That man gave me, Joaquin, that man gave me a absolute heart attack
Yeah.
hours before the reviews went live. I was.
Yeah, expect low 80s or something. He messaged me after that, Wacky. He was just like, Tim, I don't know, man. Wacky's got me second guessing. I was like, yeah,
It's freaking me out.
he knows something.
Maybe it was just a lot. Maybe he's just playing me, maybe he's just fucking with me. Who knows? But
yeah, he does like fucking with us.
That's true. Okay, so what some other things happened this week? Only a few other things. I would say the biggest other thing that's not Xbox related was that randomly, the day before reviews went live for Starfield, PlayStation decided to raise the price of all of their PlayStation Plus tiers, all of them, by a lot.
That's great timing.
Did you see this?
I caught wind of it. Yeah, I don't know of actual pricing figures, how much they went up by, but I did catch a headline of that they're raising it on all things. So I kind of need to have a look and check my subscription because I need to get that cancelled, I think. But yeah, what we're looking at here?
I tried to get the rates changed, but the new prices in pounds are £60 a year for essential, £100 for extra, and 120 for premium.
Yeah.
So $160, 135. Sorry, 160 for premium, 135 for extra, and 80 for plus. I want to have a quick look, but from what I understood, I read around at the time, but I just couldn't find any specific numbers because it just depends where you look for the actual prices. But this is quite a big price rise. I mean, the reason this is interesting to me is that I haven't really heard a peep about it. You might remember about, when was it, 18 months ago, Xbox like lost their mind for a second and they were like, yeah, we're just going to double the price of gold.
Yeah.
No biggie, we're just going to double it.
Everyone
lost their shit. Everyone was like, no, what the fuck are you doing? And 2 days later, Philly was like, yeah, sorry, my finger slipped. I put an extra 0 on that spreadsheet by accident.
That's funny. What, has no one really been chirping about this? No.
I'm so annoyed when I'm not like trying to make this a PlayStation thing. I find it quite annoying when tech like is really pushing its luck.
Just trying it on with the users, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's just a bit of complacency. And I know like not everyone has a literal niche gaming podcast where they talk about tech and stuff, but it's like, another example is all the subscription services, Netflix and whatever, were like, yeah, we're going to stop you sharing your accounts now. And then subscriptions like doubled. So Disney were like, yeah, us too. And it's like, for fuck's sake. Like, how far is this going to go? Like, what are you going to stop me doing? Can I only watch it on one TV now?
Yeah.
For my eyes only? I'm not allowed to have other people around my house?
Yeah, they're going to start limiting it to like a certain hours a day. Yeah. Sorry, you've reached your 3-hour watch time for Disney today.
Yeah.
That's right. It cuts you off like halfway through a movie. You're like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, I was expecting, like, because when Netflix did that, everybody vocalized how annoyed they were, and then it happened, and everybody just resubscribed. And and now everyone's going to do it. Every subscription service is going to do that now. I'd be very surprised, and for the next few years, we don't see PlayStation and Xbox stop game sharing for the same reason. Obviously, they'd get blowback, but hey, everyone's doing it.
Well, I don't know what would happen to our libraries, and that's the case. It'll be so confusing. I don't know what I would fucking have or not have.
We just lose a lot of games.
Yeah. But no, it is quite interesting this, especially when like, not that I'm justifying Xbox, raising Games Pass prices or anything like that, but like, PlayStation haven't really put anything extra into it either. They're not really dumping any more of their AAA like exclusives or any extra benefits. It's just the same but more. It's just like Xbox are raising price, sure, but you're also dropping Starfield into it, and dropping Forza into it, all these things planned. Like, I bet you fucking Spider-Man 2's not coming into that, but they're paying more. I bet you any of the games they're coming out later this year that exclusives are not coming into that. So why are they raising the price? So, and by quite a large margin as well.
We had the exact same problem when Xbox tried to pull that shit as well, because like you can't just be like, we're just going to double it just because we want more money.
Yeah,
like try and give us something in return, and it will soften the blow, or at least give us some sort of perception of value.
Yeah,
because obviously Xbox has put up the prices of Game Pass because they're dropping gold, and it is going up like a little bit. It's not really much, but the benefit here is that. And it's not all good. We you can watch the previous episode where we spoke about this, the core. I think the fact that for console that doesn't come with Game Pass, doesn't come with online multiplayer. So basically, you're getting shoehorned into Ultimate. I think that's a problem, and that's stupid. But ultimately, the price hasn't gone up that much. They've offered like a really low tier with Game Pass Core, which I think is a really good value proposition for most casual or maybe even core gamers. Whereas Ultimate is still really good value. Just to be clear, day one games on Game Pass and everything else that comes there. Access to cloud. You get 10% off with Game Pass. I don't know if you get that on PlayStation. You get everything in Game Pass. You can get 10% off. Loads of perks. Online multiplayer, which we shouldn't still be paying for, but we are. And EA Play. EA Play is still part of that. A lot of people forget about that because that's a whole extra subscription service included as part of it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of value that's included with how this is broken up, but I'm just not seeing. I just think it's really ballsy to chuck your prices up for such a big, such a big way and not offer anything, and then nobody kick back about it. So we're coming back to that complacency thing. It does rub me a bit.
What is the price comparison? I don't know if you know this, but like between PlayStation Plus Premium and like Ultimate, obviously the two highest tiers. Like, is Ultimate more expensive by a bit?
Ultimate is more expensive. It's difficult to make this comparison because this is something else scummy that Xbox does. Xbox doesn't let you buy Ultimate yearly.
Oh yeah.
I think you can buy it in 3-month bundles. But I haven't looked into it that much because I've had the 3-year conversion, then that expires I think April next year, so I'll have to start looking into it then. But I've got some prices here, but it's all annoying because like on the fucking Xbox website, they do it all in dollars, but PlayStation website is good and says, oh, you in the UK, here's a pounds conversion. But so I'll just give you the basics because I finally found how much PlayStation has increased just so you can see. So Essential before was £50. Sorry to anyone who's not in the UK who doesn't understand what a pound is, a unit of weight or currency. So Essential was 50. That's up to 60. What's the next one? Extra. Is up to 84. That used to be. Oh no, sorry, was 84 up to 100.
Jesus.
And Premium is now 120, which is up from 100.
It's a lot.
So
that's for the most part, you're paying 20% extra on average. It's about 20% for every tier. 20% price increase out of the blue. It's ballsy. Give them that.
And also, it's still that thing of like PlayStation is doing some really weird things with their Essential. Like, why don't you have cloud saves for free? What the fuck is that about?
No, you can't, mate. Not a thing. Want to play? You want to sign in on someone else's console? No, you won't have your stuff. Yeah. PS5 breaks? Nah, you lost your save, mate. Should have bought cloud
to transfer it.
Yeah. Should have bought cloud.
Got 2 PlayStations? You got to pay.
Yeah. It is a bit
Very
annoying.
strange.
Because yeah, like genuinely, if you had like data corruption and you only had essential, yeah, you would just lose your game save file because it wouldn't have been pushed up to cloud. If that got like corrupted, that's it. You just lost everything, which is so weird to think in 2023 because everything is accessible and there's always copies in the cloud somewhere. And yeah, got to pay for it though.
Yeah. So, you know, I am surprised that there isn't a bit more kickback for this. And you'll see in the notes I've said, what did I say? Xbox, hold on a second. Think about what you're doing here. Because this shit, it worries me. When one of them puts up their prices, the others tend to go,
Yeah,
yeah, you know, it's competition, in it. You know,
yeah,
it's by being run out of business, we need to put our price up. You know,
yeah.
I don't think you do.
Don't do it.
I don't believe you.
Be the better people, Xbox. Don't raise
Yeah.
it as well.
Yeah, and also give me money.
That'd be nice.
Although I will say, it does feel like they're giving me money by giving me Starfield Day One on Game Pass, which I guess I kind of have contradicted that by spending £30 to play early. But you know, nonetheless.
Well, 15. I'll
Yeah.
I'll split that with you.
This one's on me, mate. Don't you worry.
What? No.
Yeah. Yeah. It's on
You have a family to feed.
me. Yeah, that's it. It's like Fox isn't eating this week, but yeah, don't worry. I got this one.
Starfield.
I
I have a
haven't.
family to feed.
We haven't eaten for a few days, but I got to play Starfield a few early. I mean, who really needs food when I can sustain my organs from, you know, the screen?
Exactly. I think it's doable.
I think it's doable. So that's it. PlayStation Plus rise their prices. They rise their prices, and I rise my eyebrow at you.
Nice.
Thank you. Okay. I think it's nope. It's Elder Scrolls 6 time.
What?
Have you heard of that? Have you heard of Elder Scrolls 6?
Oh yeah, they got a stealth drop, didn't it? Forgot about that. I haven't downloaded
Yes.
it yet.
Yeah, we get to. Have you guys in the? Oh, is it? Have you guys, listeners? Have you guys not had Elder Scrolls 6 stealth drop on your Xbox?
Might
That's
be an
weird.
insider thing for podcasters.
For podcasters, for very very handsome and hairy podcasters, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, apart, what I cannot speak today. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So your brain's
you take
rotted from Starfield, yeah.
Yeah. It's that lack of oxygen, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You picked the wrong trait.
Okay, I'm gonna try. Yeah, I'm gonna try one more time. Here we go. Okay. Bethesda has confirmed its highly anticipated role-playing game, The Elder Scrolls 6, which was officially announced in 2018, has entered early development. So it's in development. It's not in pre-production. That's the takeaway here, which is kind of surprising to me, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was announced 5 years ago. I know Starfield has obviously been the child of labor for Bethesda, but yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say it surprises me to see it in early development.
I mean, I just assumed that when they announced it, they didn't really mean it. You know, I just assumed they were like, yeah, Fallout 76 is a bit shit, isn't it? Here's Elder Scrolls 6. Round of applause.
Yeah, here's this. Yeah. Go easy on us, yeah? We haven't forgot about this. Here's the
Please.
title screen. See you in 5 years.
Yeah.
6.
If you bomb the building, you'll also bomb Elder Scrolls 6. So you just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
It's very important. It's like a safeguard, you know, it's like a fail safe. It's like a dead man's trigger.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is more of a conversation to have about Elder Scrolls 6. I just don't know if it's a good conversation to have today because a lot of the developments, a lot of the things that have happened in Starfield, which we will talk about, get me really excited for what could happen next in Elder Scrolls 6, you know. So unless there's anything you're dying to say here, I reckon we leave this conversation for another day.
Yeah, I don't really think there's much to talk about apart from yeah, exactly, like all the developments that Starfield has managed to do. You know, having those put into like Elder Scrolls and into like a high fantasy sort of setting, and what they can do with it is, yeah, it's quite exciting. Because yeah, I mean, even from just the short amount I played in Starfield and from what I've seen, the leap they've taken from their last Bethesda RPG is quite substantial in terms of quality and graphics and gameplay and everything like that. Like, yeah, so it's pretty crazy. And then obviously this is going to be years ahead of Starfield as well. So, yeah, quite exciting for sure. But yeah, there's not really too much else to say on it, really, is there?
No, I think you're right. The only thing that's got me thinking here, because it's like I said, I am surprised it's in early development and not in pre-production, is that they want this as a launch title for whatever the next Xbox console is.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah,
holy shit! Can you imagine?
that is pretty bonkers. Yeah, the Xbox Series Z. Oh, God, comes out with Elder Scrolls 6. Yeah. I wonder what they're going to call the next. Do you think they're going to drop all their stupid fucking naming conventions for the next Xbox?
No.
What do you think it's going to be called? Let's spitball this. They'll probably keep the series, won't they? Or do you think they'll do the thing
I have
where
no
they just
idea.
they'll just be like, nah, we're going back to our roots. This is just called Xbox. Like, this is just
That would not surprise me at all.
the Xbox, or just Xbox, yeah. Something
The
like
Xbox.
Yeah.
the
and
Xbox. And Xbox.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it does. I think they could definitely just be like, yeah, just Xbox. Literally just go back to just that, right? I could see that being a thing.
It'd be so stupid. It'd be so stupid. I could see it. I could absolutely see it, and that's the worst part.
Yeah.
They are in a difficult position though, aren't they? Because they don't want to number their consoles because it like implies that there's some sort of parity or disparity with the other consoles. Like Switch largely does the same thing. Wii U, 3DS, new 3DS. Like they try and stay away from number conventions. They just use weird letters.
Yeah.
Like I's and U's. So Xbox just likes to occupy the other end of the alphabet. Use X and Z's.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a weird one, but who knows? Xbox Series S2, Xbox Series X2, V2.
I just think they should use concepts. Just go into concepts. You know what I mean? The 360 was like a concept, and everybody liked that. And like the logo was like it was like a ball. Like at the time, it was like green and silver, and it would be like. It kind of made sense. I don't know.
360. Yeah.
Yeah. Xbox Circle, Xbox Cylinder.
I'm into it. Xbox Triangle.
I guess those aren't concepts. I guess that's just a shape.
Yeah. You can have one for each shape. You can get your Xbox in a triangle, a square, a circle, or an octagon.
Whatever you like. It's a customizable experience.
The Xbox Flex.
And I guess
I like that.
I guess it doesn't make sense, does it? Because it's called an Xbox. So they're kind of a bit pigeonholed there, aren't they?
Yeah, they have to make it boxy. Yeah.
It has to be a box.
They could just call it X. Oh no, sorry, that's Twitter's new name. Can't have that.
Can't do that. They should just call it the Twitter box.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Elder Scrolls 6. It's obviously one to watch. It's probably going to be the next game that's like, industry shaking, kind of like how Starfield has been. But this will be on a whole another level because it's an established IP and a franchise everybody knows about.
Yeah.
So, yes, exciting stuff. Okay, Tim, here we are. Okay, chat, here we are. We're here to talk about Starfield. This is where we go. Oh, just very quickly, Joaquin's made some suggestions in the chat. Xbox Dreamcast 2 after buying Sega in 2024.
Yeah. I could see it. Dreamcast too.
Xbox Dream. Power your dreams.
Hmm?
See it in your dreams.
That's such a cool name for a console, isn't it? Dreamcast.
Yeah, that's
It just
a cool
sounds
name.
cool. It's just a cool name.
That's awesome.
Dreamcast, man. Just works.
Cast your dreams onto the screen. Yeah, it does. Just works. Good shit. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. It's Starfield time. Chat. If you're playing it, what are your thoughts? How are you thinking? Where should we start, Tim? Would you like to start by talking about our just feelings, or should we start by talking about the public reception and the review reception, and where do you think's best to go here?
Start with the public reception and reviews, that sort of area, I think.
Okay. Good shout. All right. Well, dear audience, dear watchers, dear listeners, as of time of writing, Starfield is an 88 on OpenCritic. This is after 100 reviews.
So how many reviews was this game going to sort of get? Do you think that's going to budge much, or?
I think it might move 1 point in either direction. Just to give you a sense, God of War Ragnarok had 192 reviews.
Jesus.
Zelda had 160 reviews. So we could be looking at another 50 to 70 reviews, maybe even more, trickling in over the next month, maybe longer.
Okay.
There was a bit of drama in the lead up. It is a lot, yeah. There was a bit of drama in the lead up to release that Bethesda had been a bit selective with who they're sending codes out to, which isn't like they've done that before. I mean, I think most companies do that now. Particularly a lot of UK sites didn't get any, and Metro have been fucked off. Metro UK,
yeah, they didn't get
famously known for saying in their Hi-Fi Rush review that they couldn't give it higher than an 8, and that's an 8 is a good score, you know, but for famously saying, oh, we can't give this game anymore because Xbox hasn't released any games recently.
Yeah, I remember that. That's so fucking dumb. I don't know how
and
they
the thing is,
take that down. How that's actually allowed to stay up.
I've spoken to some people about this, and a lot of people have been like, "Oh, it's pretty obvious they didn't mean that. They were just saying, you know, it's like, I just kind of." They were just mentioning that the platform hasn't, and it's like I don't get. What does this have to do with the game, the product that's in front of you?
The product.
I don't understand. Even if it wasn't in bad faith, it was a very strange thing to put in a review. I don't know.
Yeah, you're reviewing the game, not the platform.
Yeah, it just felt like a strange thing to even bring up. Like if you want to debate the content of what was meant by that arrangement of words, maybe, but why was it even brought up? You know what I mean? It would be like reading a review of about a TV, and then the reviewer just randomly for a paragraph being like, "Yeah, but they didn't release any new TVs last year, so it's worth considering that." Okay. So that was happening, and this is the reason I bring it up is because they're going to review bomb the game.
Mm-hmm.
They put out an article the other day saying Starfield reviews are up, and it's mostly 7s, or what was it? And there are lots of 7s or something like that. There's 5
out of 100.
Out of 100 reviews. Yeah, there's 5 7s. And that's what they titled their article. And their last line, I'll have to find it actually because I tweeted about it because I don't want to get this twisted, even though I probably have already got this twisted. Where is it? Here it is. Their last one of the paragraphs towards the end of the article. Listen to how fucking bitter this is. Starfield doesn't seem to be a terrible game, but it's also clear it's not Game of the Year contender that Bethesda and Microsoft were implying it was. This is exactly what you'd expect from a title they refuse to give hands-on previews for, and which they've tried to keep out the hands of any reviewer they deem likely to give a low score.
Yeah. That shit's not getting above a 7 from
What
Metro.
The fuck is this?
Yeah.
Amateur hour?
It's ridiculous though, because it completely takes away like the professionalism that should be around reviews. It's just like, who gives a shit? You're still supposed to be professional, whether you got a copy or not. you're still supposed to be
You're not
unbiased,
owed a code. You're not
neutral.
owed a.
Exactly. Yeah, you're supposed to still have a neutral view upon this, but they're going in 100%. They're going in with a negative view already. Like that shit's probably a 7. It's a 7 or under. They're not giving it over a 7.
No.
100%.
And I expect Eurogamer to largely give it a low score as well. I can see Joaquin said the same in the chat. We'll see. The thing is, it's really. I find this a very difficult subject to navigate for lots of different reasons, because what's the point in complaining about other people's opinions? There really isn't. Like assholes, everybody has one. It's just that when you read articles like that, you can't help but feel you're not really critiquing what's in front of you. You're being colored by something else, and that's kind of the bigger problem here. And you could go deep into that. We've spoken about this with Xbox and platform preference, and that's not a problem, but how that can maybe color an expectation. I don't want it to ever come across like on this podcast we are trying to imply that there's any sort of conspiracy, like some people do. Some people really strongly feel there's some sort of conspiracy against Xbox. I don't feel that way. I just think that people have preferences, and sometimes that can add up into sort of systemic differences. I mean, you think about literally anything. If we pretend that we're not talking about video games here for a second, that is how bias works in the rest of the world. Like, people have preferences, and people have different biases unknowingly, and it doesn't make a huge difference, but it adds up. That's kind of the point that I'm trying to get across, especially when a outlet will very kindly lay those words plainly out for you to see. That they are already pissed off.
yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's just a shame. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, like you said, the whole point system is, and in my eyes as well, reviews are just getting kind of worse and worse and worse. I mean, the only reason we're quite interested in this one in particular is because it's very much an Xbox brand image as well. And sure, I do like to see a game succeed, and I like to see a developer, get their dues if they make a good game and stuff. But that should also come with sales and stuff like that. I don't know. It just feels the more and more I go on, and the more and more reviews to happen, the more and more I just don't like them as I've grown up and grown older. Like, I was definitely sort of, I feel like I follow them more now, but more as a talking point rather than actually sort of abiding by them and going by them and what they say. I'm just not a big fan of this shit at the moment. Yeah.
Which is quite funny, because our last 3 episodes, we've spoken a lot about review scores and what we think and hope Starfield would hit.
Yeah, based on a brand, though, we were saying, because it's just that's what it is. Yeah, we were saying regardless, we're still going to play this game and probably enjoy it and still have a great time. But yeah, we were just hoping it's a success for Xbox, really. Yeah.
And that's the thing when we're talking about aggregate reviews, isn't it? People have different approaches to. I mean, again, if we zoom out and really think about what we're talking about here with reviews, how do you know you should spend your time and money on a product? You want to be informed, and some people will pick an outlet that has similar taste to them and just follow everything the outlet does. Other people will look to an aggregate, the idea being that an aggregate removes, it gives you a better sense because it's taking all of them together. I do like that approach. I like the idea of an aggregate. I'm not saying it's the right way, but I like it to give me a sense. Because ultimately what you're doing with an aggregate is you're pulling together a long continuum of scores, and you're condensing it. You're putting a median or a mean, depending on how the aggregate does it. And I find that generally, very broadly, those scores match up with my experience. I don't tend to enjoy 6s all that much. There are high 6s I've enjoyed, low 7s I've enjoyed. Things that are 85 plus, generally I get a lot of enjoyment out of, and I will play those games that score that much kind of regardless. And then there are some in the 90s that I don't know, I don't find there's much difference between an 85 and a 100. To me, that is kind of excellent territory.
Mm.
But that's just me. So I guess my overall point is aggregate scores are really good to get a sense. To get a
Yeah.
sense. That's kind of my feeling on it. But there are some people who like want to fight over like every individual point, and it's like there's no point in that because you're aggregating hundreds of numbers. So it's like it's not going to be representative, down to the point.
Mm.
I think it would be really nice, and I've always actually been an advocate for this of like talking about, and I would like, if I ever do reviews on this channel, this is how I'll do it. I'll give a score in a range. This is a 7.5 to an 8.5, just to give a sense and to try and give a range. That works better for me, and I wish that we kind of could think about it in that way. I feel like that would be more sensible.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Yeah, because then it gives people an indication of, yeah, like you said, whether or not they should spend their time and money on it. And like, you're basically saying like, at its lowest point, this game might be a 7.5 for you, but it also could be, if you're into it and it's your sort of genre and stuff like that, it can go up to an 8.5. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can kind of see that as quite a good sort of way to do things. Yeah, and it just gives people more of an indication of the sort of vibe they'll get from the game and whether or not it's worth their time and money. Which I guess it's more and more important these days as prices are rising consistently for these sort of things. Obviously, that also becomes a blurred line because things like Games Pass and stuff like that, like you have Games Pass anyway, right? So Starfield isn't really costing you anything, so this game dropping in at 88 or whatever is crazy mega value considering you were subscribed anyway. So awesome. Yeah, no, it is interesting for sure.
Yeah. And I could talk about the kind of the philosophy of this all day. I find this really interesting, like, to be honest, because it's like kind of stats mixed in with perception and psychology, obviously. And there's no perfect way to do this. I just like the idea of ranges because if someone didn't like that idea, they might say, well, what's the point of doing a range? You might as well just give every game 0 to 10 because somebody might find it 0 and somebody might find it a 10. It's like, well, yeah, but the idea of a range is that we're eliminating outliers, but we are incorporating kind of standard deviations into quartile data, whatever numbers, so it just eliminates the far ranging stuff. But yeah, that's my thoughts. We're coming up to an hour in, and I want to make sure we have time to talk kind of a bit more about the important stuff, Tim. So is this
Yeah.
shall we can't avoid it, so just to round out the review conversation, the biggest point of controversy of all of this is IGN's 7. GameSpot gave it a 7 as well, a couple of outlets. Let me just have a quick look. Some other outlets that I haven't heard of before. Saudi Gamer gave it a 7. PC Mag gave it a 7. Digital Trends gave it a 7. Yeah, so there were 5 total, and then Paste Magazine gave it a 5 out of 10, which is kind of weird. And I will say that some other journalists have gone to Twitter and been like, a 7 feels like kind of a bit low.
Yeah,
But
a bit
you don't usually see that.
Stab. Yeah.
You don't usually see that. And again, opinions and all that, like, these are the lowest reviews out of 100. So it's just what it is. It doesn't feel productive to pick on the reviews that just happen to be on the low end of the spectrum. The thing which is strange about this is that it's IGN. IGN are usually quite generous with scores.
Yeah.
And it was reviewed not by the lead Xbox guy, Ryan McCaffrey, who usually done it, but by Dan Stapleton, who has been like trying to defend himself. I do feel a bit bad for him because he's become the target, and some people have pointed to his history of being very critical of Xbox as a brand, and especially its recent moves with acquisitions. And some people feel that he was already a bit tainted by it and therefore shouldn't have reviewed it. But I've read the review word for word, and it was good. It was a good review. I mean, ultimately, I don't agree with the number, but opinions. So I guess maybe the question to ask you, Tim, is we've come in at an 88 on OpenCritic. With all of this in mind, how are you feeling about that score? Is that what Xbox needs? Is that what Starfield needs? Thoughts?
Yeah. No, I think an 88 is more than a fine score. I think anything in the region of like an 85 plus is a huge PR win for Microsoft, and good for Xbox as like a brand and a platform and stuff like that. Yeah, 100%. I don't think Xbox should be disappointed with this figure. Bethesda should be disappointed with this figure, or anyone. And I haven't played enough to experience and put a number on it myself, but I probably would end it, because Bethesda games aren't perfect. No Bethesda game is perfect. They are jank, and the combat, as much as it looks like it's been improved, is still Bethesda combat. It's not the best out there by any means, right? And you're gonna have these sort of things with the game. So I don't think I was ever gonna play Starfield and experience a 10 out of 10 game regardless. So I feel like a sort of, yeah, like for me, Starfield, from depending on how I finish it from start to finish here, but like anywhere between 80 to like 95 or something, 85 to 95 is the sort of region I was expecting Starfield to fall for me personally as well. So this review score seems pretty fair to me by the looks of it. Obviously, it would have been great to see it hit a 90 for the brand, but I don't think this is negative in any way, and it should turn people off in any way. Yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy seeing that number. Yeah,
I agree with you. If I'm being pessimistic, I expect the number to dip down to an 87 in the coming weeks. If maybe if a lot of the reviews continue to be good, it ticks up to an 89. We'll see. I think 88 is a really nice number. 87 is an equally good, good review. 88 is exactly what Fallout 4 got. So it makes it at least as good as other BGS titles, if you're going to go by numbers. I think what has made it kind of interesting here is that there's been mixed feelings, because some people who maybe weren't paying as close attention but know about Bethesda and know about Elder Scrolls were anticipating a 90 plus,
mm-hmm.
and then it wasn't. Some of those people are, I guess, left feeling a bit disappointed. Now, will it affect their... Like, has anybody seen an 88 instead of a 90 and gone, I'm not playing that?
I doubt. I would hope
don't
not.
think so.
I would hope not.
Yeah,
at least
that is stupid.
Yeah, that is bad if you're doing that. Yeah.
And this is what I mean. Once you actually engage your brain on this sort of stuff, the minutiae of the points doesn't really matter all that much. It's kind of the sense. It's why when something lands on 96, like Tears of the Kingdom does, everybody goes, "Oh wow." Or Baldur's Gate, it has that same impact. But generally, if you're like high 80s crowning into 90s, people are like, this is a very, very good video game, and I should probably play this. So there's that angle. And then there's kind of an angle, again, depending on who you asked. I don't think we agreed in previous podcasts, but a lot of people felt that Starfield was kind of a Hail Mary from Xbox. Kind of like, this is our last shot. Did you just fart?
No, it's my chair creaking. It's a leather chair. It's a leather chair, dude. I moved my knee up as it happened.
Do it again.
Fine.
Okay, we'll let him off.
2 farts, baby.
Yeah, you just have them ready to go on demand. You like hold a bit back just in case I press you on it. Yeah, some people felt, depending on who you ask, some people felt that if you really engaged a lot of the clickbait, you might have felt that Xbox is on its last legs, and Starfield had to be the Hail Mary. And you combine that with the feeling about BGS, and then the game comes in a bit lower. Some of those people are like, oh, wow, not as good as I was hoping. I mean, any feelings about that at all? about how some people felt that way, and whether they should have been or shouldn't have been?
I mean, I hope not. I mean, yeah, I feel like people will always have unrealistic expectations for these sort of things. I do feel like there's probably quite a large portion of people, like you said, like actual Bethesda, like fanboys and people who love Bethesda might actually be quite disappointed with this figure, especially as it matches like previous titles like Fallout 4. You'd expect it to go up, right? Rather than match it or something like that, or even a bit lower, which it very well could be. It could dip to like an 87 or something. So yeah, I can imagine people being a bit disappointed with that. I think that's silly, and I think that's very stupid. But I can imagine people do get invested to that point, especially the way that I don't think this has been marketed as a Hail Mary, but it's definitely been marketed as their biggest, most ambitious thing they've ever done, right? And I still think it is that, and whether or not it hit the same score or not, or a lower score, I still think it is the biggest, most ambitious thing they've ever done. Whether that turns out to be a good or a bad thing, I think that still is fact, right? And yeah, I mean it's hard to say being so early in, but at least from what I've played, seen, and heard, it does seem to just improve on most core aspects of what BGS games do, in terms of Fallout being with its combat and like world building and stuff like that. Like I feel like it's an improvement on Fallout over the sense of it's more colorful, it's more vast and stuff like that. Fallout can be a bit bland in its world. I do like the nuclear wasteland, but it's a bit brown, it's a bit boring. Um, you know, facial animations and dialogue and voice acting, all of this has been stepped up, to the point where I think a lot of people probably would expect it to score higher than previous BGS games. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I can see that. But to me, I think it's a bit. To me, it's a bit weird if people look at this and seem disappointed because they were hoping for a 90 plus. These people are too invested in this score. This you know shouldn't affect your opinion on the game that much. But yeah.
Yeah, some good points there. And like I've said before, I think there is a type of game that lends itself to high critic scores. And that can come about for a number of reasons. I think movie games, not trying to be derogative, but movie games are, because they're an easy comparison to cinema. That's a good shot. Oh, wow. That was a good emotional beat. Things that typically flow like a movie does, a gameplay section or, an action section, then a cutscene, and then an action section and a cutscene, as opposed to something like a Bethesda game. And this, obviously, older Bethesda games have scored very, very highly, but Fallout 4 was in 2015. You know what I mean? Like, the industry is in a bit of a different place for open worlds now. And even as we go into the conversation about the actual game, I don't think Starfield is really an open world game. If it is, it's a bit of a different one. There's more to talk about with that, but it I think there is a type of game that lends itself to high scores. There are types of niches that lend themselves to high scores. And unfortunately, I don't think Starfield quite falls into any of those categories. And that's not to say there aren't genuine criticisms here, because there are.
Yeah.
But overall, it sounds like we're in agreement that it's a good enough score for what Xbox needed. Xbox needed a quote unquote banger.
Yeah.
Mass appeal banger that's going to move systems, that's going to move people into the ecosystem to play it. And do we think that's been achieved? I think so. It sounds like you think so as well.
Yeah, I think that's been achieved. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Because it's, for some, I haven't really seen, to be fair, it hasn't been as bad as I thought it was going to be. But it's flared up the conversation of like, Xbox just can't hit a 90 or above. Wrong. 2020, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, 90. 2021, Microsoft Flight Simulator, 94. 2021, Forza Horizon 5, 92. They're not mass appeal games. Oh, well, guess what just launched? Starfield. So that I don't think they actually needed a 90 plus game. They have had 3 of them in the last 3 years. What they needed is a well-reviewed game, high 80s, that captures the attention of everyone and pushes people into the ecosystem and pushes consoles.
Yeah.
That's the job that's being accomplished here,
Yeah, 100%.
So that's the gap, and I think that that's achieved, and especially because it's a new IP. New IP catches imaginations, and in a sense, it was interesting. You were saying before, Fallout. The comparison there, new IPs are quite hard to get very, very high scores on. You know, Starfield 2 in 2060 might do that. It might be a couple of points higher. You know, you think about Elder Scrolls, it took them. Well, they've always been well reviewed, but Oblivion was the first one to crack into 90s, I think, and then Skyrim went a bit higher in the 90s. Fallout 3 was a 91 on PC, and again, Starfield is an 88 on PC. Like, are we really gonna split hairs between 3 points here? You know, it's just
yeah,
a sense. It gives you a sense.
Yeah,
great. So yeah, it's been very interesting. For the most part, people are enjoying it. And as we kind of move into the conversation about the actual game and sort of the connective tissue between the review conversation and moving into the game, is that for the most part, again, no spoilers, there is a bit of a consensus here that the game starts a bit slow. This could work really for the game or against it in terms of reviews rolling in. Without the embargo pressure, outlets might just take their time with it and maybe spend more time with it than the previous outlets did. And we might get more, a score higher than the average of 88, which makes it go up. On the other hand, outlets might feel less pressured to spend their time with it because they need to hit an embargo and drop it after 10 hours and give a low score. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah.
So, Starfield sucks. GG. End of stream.
Okay.
And Tim?
Yeah, I'm on it. Yeah, I need to go over and click it.
That's it. We just shut the channel down and we never come back.
That'd be amazing.
After all of that discussion.
Yeah. We actually fucking hate it. Yeah.
And we've hated Xbox all this time. We just pull out PlayStations from under our desk and a Switch and a PC. Yeah, okay. So I have played Starfield for 25 hours now. I'm level 15.
That seems low for 25 hours, but okay. I don't know how the XP works.
Hell yeah. I mean, like I said, I had the house to myself on Saturday. And I didn't end up playing on Friday because here in the UK, the early access was 1 a.m. and that was just such an annoying time. So I just went to bed. And I played and I played and I played. And then it got to the end of the day when I was ready to go to the bed. To the bed. And I checked my save file and it said 15 hours. And I was like, I've played 15 hours of Starfield today.
That's fucking bonkers, dude. That's crazy.
That is bonkers.
That's literally
the last time I did that.
You must have not even stopped to eat, really. You must have just been eating while you were playing as well.
I ordered a pizza, it came to me. Food came to me.
Nice, dude.
So I don't know how many hours have you had in so far? You've just played 1 hour or
I'd say like two and a bit maybe. Yeah, so not too long. No.
Okay, well, why don't you start with that kind of how you felt just after 2 hours then, just and then I can kind of lead off from there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was quite pleased with it for sure. I mean, I enjoyed the I definitely got my warm fuzzy feeling when I was in my character creation. And going through. I actually spent quite a lot of time making my guy and sort of picking a background for him and stuff like that.
Who is he? Tell us.
Tilly got involved as well and sort of helped out.
Yes.
It was quite fun. So his name is Orion. little space theme there.
Nice.
And he's got some man bun going on. He's a bit gruff. He's got cool blue eyes. He's tall and he's a little bit on the skinny side, a little bit like me, but he's got a little bit of bulk to him. But I picked the space scoundrel as my background, so that's like piloting, which I actually quite enjoyed. I did some ship combat in that game, and I was actually like, it's kind of fun. I was like, it's quite cool that you like allocate things on the fly to like your ship. and do that, and you shoot, and
Mm.
you got lasers to take down the shields, and then you got the missiles and your guns that actually do better like damage when shields are down and stuff like that. I found it quite interactive and quite fun actually, without it being like overly complex too. Like I feel like
Yeah,
it's a
it's not like
nice
a Elite
intermediate.
Dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, because I was quite worried about that when I picked that class, because I was like, oh, piloting, that's cool. Because, I'm like a fucking, yeah, I'm like a pilot, pistols and persuasion and stuff like that. It's cool. But I was like, am I really going to enjoy like the flying element of this and like space combat and stuff like that? It's normally not my vibe, like vehicle combat. But I was actually
Mhm.
pleasantly surprised with it. So, yeah, that was fun. And yeah, so I picked that as my
It's really hard.
background. I think I picked for my, you get to pick your three little trait things, your three little
Yeah.
things. I think I picked the one where I'm like wanted and like someone could just pop up at any
Same.
time, yeah, and like kill me. Because I was like, that's kind of cool, right? If that just happens, you're like, oh fuck. It's kind of like Shadow of War, like Middle Earth vibes,
Yeah.
where like an orc just pops up. He's like, yeah, like so yeah, I was
Yeah.
like that, and I was like, and they could maybe have some cool loot, right? Some cool guns or something if I kill them,
And
because they're
and
bounty
you,
hunters
you
after
do more
me.
damage. You
Yeah,
do more
yeah,
damage when you're low health as
and I
well.
do
So
more damage when I'm on low health, yeah, which is kind of cool. And then I think I picked I can't remember the other ones I picked.
I only picked two of them.
Oh, I
Maybe
picked
three.
the idol one where people like idolize me. I'm like, and like they can come up and give me gifts and stuff. So I'm like
You
just
have an
known.
adoring fan.
Yeah, I'm just like known around the galaxy for being wanted and being adored. It's great.
Wow. Okay.
And then I picked something else as well. I did actually pick three. Yeah. I can't remember the other one I picked, but yeah. So that's my guy, and he's great. I like him.
Hell yeah.
And I shot some
Nice.
stuff, and I flew a bit, and that's about all I did. Yes, I'm only 2 hours in, but yeah, it's a good time, man.
Cool. Yeah. Good. Yeah, I agree. I had a great time making my character, and it's like you said, Tilly got involved. It's like I'm pretty sure it's like girlfriend 101 that if you're doing a game that has a character creator, get them in
Yeah,
because it's the most excitement that
yeah.
that will be there all week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she loved it. I mean, she plays like Sims all the time as well, so she was just like, character creation is my vibe. So I'm gonna help you with this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Honey, I'm making a new character. A gust of wind, and she's sat next to you.
With snacks, yeah, ready to go.
Let me see the hair. Yeah, it's good shit. Yeah, I was going to say, just bouncing off a couple of things you said there. Yeah, the ship combat. I agree. I think it's really fun. The dogfights are awesome.
Mm.
You just in case you didn't know, you can fire all the stuff at the same time.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
I thought you had to do one or the other, but you can just hold down stuff at the same time. Obviously, it will lower your ammo or your cooldowns or whatever. But I didn't know that, and then I figured it out.
Yeah.
I'm playing on hard. I think I said to you.
Yeah, I will flick to hard. I'm not on hard at the moment, but I think I will based on your recommendation. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely advise it. But the ship combat, I think, to begin with, is supposed to be. I mean, even while I'm 25 hours in, it still feels substantially harder than like gun combat. I think it's meant to be that way because you're like outclassed on your ship, and like shipbuilding is really a later thing in the game. You're not really meant to be
Yeah.
able to afford it or get the parts or have the ability to upgrade yet. There was one time I had to turn the difficulty down because I was doing a story mission with I was getting shot at by like a class C ship. They're like the really heavy combat ones. And then I got invaded for being wanted.
Oh God.
And I was like, I just kept I like kept dying in the first 10 seconds. Like I just could not survive.
Damn.
But for the most part, those dogfights are really, really fun, especially when you like start to learn a bit more of the nuance about it. Like you can buy thrusters on one of the skill points. Again, the game didn't tell me how to use it. I had to like Google like what button it was, but like they're thrusters, so you can like move the ship, like up, down, left, and right. Do you know what I mean? On like a 2D plane. And you can like move really quickly around someone like while shooting and then tail behind them. You can just do some really cool maneuvers with that. I'd really recommend getting that.
Okay.
It's really fun. Yeah, and I got the targeting system as well. That's super fun too. You can like select different parts of the ship to destroy.
Oh, okay.
So like you can just
Nice.
take out their shield without having to damage it, or like take out their grav drive so they can't escape, or boost away from you. Take out the lasers if you're, when your shields to go down, things like that. Really fun. Yeah. So I guess to give you, I think I said to you what I did for my character, but
Yeah.
I went a bit different this time.
And I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for,
Huh?
because like I said, when I did the combined character creation with Tele and we kind of just did it together, I was very much going a similar vibe to what you went with, because I wanted to be yeah. I mean, obviously I'll let you explain what it is, but I was kind of thinking I'd be going down a similar route, but then we pulled in another direction, and it was also really cool. So, but anyway, yeah, you go on.
Nice. Yeah. My headcanon was to be like a boy, like a techie boy,
Yeah,
all about that tech. I can do whatever, and that means my skills reach into different areas where there is more tech. Like, so for that reason, I've invested a few points in piloting. I'm like pretty decent on ships. But my starting perks, my background was cyberneticist. So with that, I got lasers. Love lasers.
yep.
I'm so excited when I find a laser gun. I do more damage. I've got 3 points on that, so I do 30% more damage. And the final point is 40% more damage and a 5% chance to set people on fire.
Oh, let's go.
Fuck yeah. I'm maxing that out. Yeah.
Mhm.
I had medicine, right? Medicine it works really quick, does more, and you can't go wrong with that. And what was the other thing? The other thing was lockpicks. Boy, am I glad I picked that. This guy right here, lockpicker of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I got a little bit confused with the whole lock picking system. I was like, oh, I get it. And I was like, this is okay, I guess. It's not a bad lock picking system. But then I entered one and got past the first ring, and then there was no way I could have possibly done the second ring, and I didn't quite understand why. Is it because I could have done the first ring in a different way to then make the second ring? Okay, yeah.
But you can undo. You have a limited amount of undos to try if you do mess up. But yeah, that's the gist of it. It's basically if you have one with multiple rings, which I think they all are, you want to try and line up the middle one first, so you know what ones to reserve and what ones to use first.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a really good lockpicking game once you get your head around it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's way better than the previous ones. It's like actually like a little puzzle rather than just move stuff around until your controller vibrates.
Yeah.
But I've got like 3 points in that now. I'm like going into master level locks. I'm going to the top of town. I'm like undoing safes. I'm like,
nice. You've had any goodies, like some spoiler free, but like any cool shit from like getting high level locks on?
I have, yeah, I have. I found some like really good resources. I've had some good guns in like rooms that I wouldn't otherwise have been able to access.
Nice.
Yeah, helmet, stuff like that. And then just to top off the headcanon, put a point in pickpocketing, of course.
Okay.
Go in places I'm not supposed to be. So I've got a bit of skill in that, pinch your pocket. What's that? Little cyber stick sticking out what's it called? Credit stick sticking out your back pocket. That's mine now. Thank you very much.
You're a thief.
What's that? I can be. I can be at times. It's really hard though. So I don't know how far I'll take.
Do you have a bounty in your head from thieving?
Not yet. I'm only taking stuff where I have like a really high chance of pulling it off because I want to level it up, and you have to pull off successful. You have to do because of the challenge system. You have to do it a number of times.
Yeah.
And then finally, I've put a couple of points in the scavenger perk. Top it all off. I go into boxes. What do I find? More credits than you. I go into your pockets. What do I find? Oh, wow. Thank you very much. I find more shit everywhere. I find more ammo. I find more money.
More lockpicks?
I make a living. More lockpicks. I'm actually out of lockpicks at the moment. It's a real shame. So I've used so many.
God, you're really lockpicking a lot, man.
I am, yeah. That's free XP. That is. Anyway, so that's like my character, and I've had a great time just like role playing that and like leaning
Nice.
into it. And
Do you name him anything roleplay, or did you just call him Deck or Side Deck?
so I was just Deck, but then I found out Vasco can say your name, and it turns out Windows Central has an article up on it at the moment. There's like a list of like internal names, like hidden names that he will say, and it turns out Declan is one of them. And I was like, I have never seen that before. I'm doing that, so I'm changing my name to
That's
Declan.
cool. Did you notice the first guy you speak to? His name's Hella.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've never seen that in a game either. That was crazy. This game was made for us,
I like
dude.
him. Yeah, I know. It was awesome, isn't it? And it's quite funny because you can change your name at any point. There's a shop you'll find later that you can do that at. But
Okay.
one of those names that Vasco will say is fuckface.
Oh,
He calls
nice.
himself fuckface. I don't like, hi, Captain Fuckface.
I'm absolutely changing my name to Fuckface.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
Shit. So that's like that bit. So I will. So that's been your impression. I guess. So I'll just kind of. I've made kind of a list of like what I thought's been good, what I thought hasn't been good. Feel free to like jump in on any of this because I'm sure listeners and watchers would be happy to hear about anything else that kind of you're finding interesting. I would like to know a bit more about.
Yeah, sure.
But I will agree for the most part with the reviewers that the game does. I'm not sure if I would say start slow. I don't think it's, in my opinion, it didn't start slow. It just is overwhelming, and I don't think it does a particularly great job at giving you, at guiding you through the galaxy. And it's why a lot of people and reviewers have said, just do the main story. Just do the main story. If you get a bit distracted here and there, great, just do the main story. Because then the other thing is, and I don't know anything about it, apparently the New Game Plus is really amazing.
Oh, okay.
And like kind of continues the story. Again, I don't know anything about it. No spoilers. I don't have a clue. But people have said there's more of an emphasis on the main story as well because the main story is really good. And it has been good as well, I would say, so far. I've been really impressed with the writing and the direction. It's been interesting. It's been intriguing. And actually, I've just had a bit of a left turn in the story. I was like, oh, well, that's cool. And it's kind of had an impact on gameplay. And yeah, I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued.
So you
I
would,
haven't been beelining.
So you would agree with reviewers in the sense of, and you would also recommend that to me to kind of stick on the path of the main story more so than anything else.
I would say there is a bit more emphasis on that. No, maybe I wouldn't. I would say the second you feel like you're lost or overwhelmed or you're not sure what to do, just do the main story. Don't force yourself to go and do side content. You really don't need to. There's going to be so much time for that. But the second you feel that, just bounce back to the main story because from what I've seen, the main story is going to take you on a pit stop tour
to a lot of places where you can get side quests.
A lot of places. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this has been something which has been, I think the main story helps you learn that you don't play this like a traditional, not even just like a traditional Bethesda game. You don't play this like a traditional open world game because it's kind of not. It's kind of all stitched together, you know. Like in Skyrim or maybe other traditional open world games, you know, if it's a good one, it will try and catch your eye, you know, rather than flooding your map with icons. You know, you'll say, "Oh, look, there's a big mountain over there. There's a ruins there. There's things there," and you just follow your eye and then you pick up stuff. But because Starfield is 1,000 planets, it doesn't quite work like that. You kind of need to be guided a little bit, and then things start opening up and unfolding and unraveling.
To the planet, a reason to visit the solar system. Yeah,
because otherwise. Yeah. Otherwise, what you're doing, you're just picking a planet at random and going there, and you know there will always be something to do because a lot of it's procedural, but a lot of it really isn't. A lot of it is very handcrafted, and all of the side quests I've done so far have been great. Some of the procedural stuff I've done so far has been a bit mixed. Generally, there's always some environmental storytelling, which is great. Sometimes, like one time I ran for like 1,000 meters to go to an empty bunker. I think it might have even been on the moon. And I was like, oh, cool, let's go and have a look what's in here. and it was like someone had made a bunker in like this crater in the moon. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Went in there. It was just kind of empty. There were some credits, some stuff to pick up, but that was it.
Oh,
I was like, okay, a bit of environmental storytelling. Someone lived here. They don't anymore. Don't know where they are. Got a couple of things out of it, but it was just like there are some things like that where the game just kind of leans into telling a little story, with a little bit of a reward, and that's kind of it. Whereas other things are a lot more grand. The most recent thing I did was fucking bonkers, Tim.
mm,
I came across a space station. Like, I don't know what it was. It was like a space structure. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and have it. I tried to hail it, static. No one's replying. It was like in the shape of a kind of a star. And I was like, I've never seen anything like this. Docked it, went in, and it's like a 50s interior. I was like, okay.
all right.
And the 0G, I'm like floating through there. And there's like there's like raiders in there. So as I'm fighting them, I realized this is a casino. This is a fucking casino. And these
That's
guys have been
cool.
trying to rob it. So they're like fighting me. I'm fighting them. I wipe them all out, and my companion goes, "There's a vault there. I bet we can get the pin to that." And I'm like, "You're fucking right, yeah." So I'm looking around. I find a computer, read 2 of the entries, and one of the entries is like a review from someone who's been to this casino, and it's like the universe's first 0G casino. What a load of shit! It's meant to be a 0G
Yeah.
casino. And yeah, and then I get the code. Sure enough, go around, find it, and I get like loads of really good loot while I'm in there. And I was like, that was awesome. There wasn't
That's
any
cool.
dialogue, no quest popped up on my map. It was just I put the pieces together that this what it was.
That's super cool. Yeah.
So that's one of the things I presume is kind of handcrafted. So I think it's very exciting, and that's generally the feeling I've been having the more and more I play this game, the more and more excited I am by it, because there's just you kind of figure out what you want to do when you want to do it. And so many stuff just kind of unravels in a really good way. A lot of the world is very reactive to you in a way that a lot of games just aren't.
Mm.
Like, how typically with games that have choices, you get to a point, there's a big decision, you make the big decision, and then the world reacts to that. And that's great. I'm finding that there's a lot of like minute stuff that happens in this game. Like with my companion, there are like dialogue options I've made like 10 hours ago that they bring up. This dialogue, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did say that, didn't I? Oh shit.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they'd be like, you once said, and then we'll repeat back that the dialogue thing I made, and that feels and that's happened multiple times, and I'm only 25 hours in. It just feels, but there's a lot of that, and it's very impressive.
Mm. Wow, that is cool.
So my overall feeling is absolutely. Todd said before launch, Starfield is a sort of game where the more you put into it, the more it gives back to you.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely the way I'm feeling. And it's absolutely why I can empathize with maybe some reviewers or people who are going to play the game for the first 10 hours and feel I'm very overwhelmed and I don't really know what to do. Just hit the main story, because you will get to a point where you feel, okay, I'm ready to start doing having a look out a bit more now.
Okay.
So those are just some off the cuff thoughts.
Actually, it's useful to know, especially where I haven't dipped my toes that far into it. It's useful knowledge for me to know that if that ever happens to me, or I feel fatigued in any way or lost, that I can just, my best bet is to just go back on the main story path, which I would have done anyway. I played BGS games, I played RPGs in the past. I know that if I'm getting bored with side quests or I'm running around and haven't found anything for a while, I will just go back to the main story. I do feel like that's kind of common knowledge when you're playing an RPG a little bit, but it's definitely good to know. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, those are just kind of off the cuff thoughts about the kind of the world, but like I have a lot more to say as well. Like gunplay feels great. It's the best BGS.
It's the best it's felt.
It's ever been. To me, it feels like Wolfenstein. I liked Wolfenstein. I thought it was really good. I didn't love Wolfenstein. It kind of had this PC feel to it. And I think it's good here. Like it's enjoyable. It's actively enjoyable, which is great. It's not perfect, but it feels good. I don't know. Did you feel the same?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I kind of said the same thing at the beginning of the this episode as well, where I was like, yeah, the combat is the best a BGS has ever felt, but it still is that BGS combat. You know, it's still not perfect. It still is a bit clunky in its own ways and has that charm to it. Let's put it that way. But it definitely is the best iteration of it so far, I would say. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, definitely.
One other thing, if we're talking about gunplay and like how it feels on the sticks, is one thing, but the overall combat feels very good for a number of reasons. Like the enemy reactivity is really good. I don't know if you've noticed, like they really respond to where you're hitting them on the body. Sometimes if you shoot people in the face, they'll be like, I can't see, and they just won't respond to that. Sometimes you'll shoot them in the arm and they'll be like, I can't shoot.
Yeah.
There's lots of reactivity with that, and that's great. And I've had a number of different combat encounters where it's like very intentionally leverage the gravity of a planet. Like
Okay.
if you do a couple of things on a low grav planet, you get really used to being able to just jump around, get height, jump over people while you're shooting them, and then all of a sudden you're on a low grav planet, and it doesn't really kick in until you start fighting, and you're like, you go to like a building to jump on it, and you're like, oh shit, I can't get up there. I'm gonna have to go through the building and up the stairs, and
Yeah.
it mixes the loop up,
Yeah.
and I think they've been quite clever with how they've made use of that.
Nice.
Oth- Other things like dynamic weather events once gave me a really bad cough once I jumped from really high because I forgot it was high grav and I sprained my ankle.
Oh.
And I couldn't sneak without consuming O2 for a while.
Okay, is that something you can heal with like a med pack, or is that something that is just like a timed heal on the game? Like, there's no way to, or you need like a, because
It,
I think obviously Fallout had the same thing where you could damage your limbs, but you could just stim pack them to get them back up. But is it a similar?
mhm. Yeah, some sort of. It will always eventually expire. It will give you an indication of how long it's going to take. It will say what the prognosis is, but there are different med equipment for each type of injury.
Oh,
I
okay.
would just say whenever you see them, buy them, scoop them up, make sure you have plenty of them, and they'll just get rid of whatever the ailment is.
Yeah.
So there's lots of dynamic stuff there. I mean, ultimately, I think it feels like the most sandboxy BGS game I've played. And again, more of that reveals itself the more you play the game, the more you expand your arsenal, the more you go into the main story, the more you engage with these different overlapping elements, the gravity, the weather systems, the enemies, the
Mm.
companions, the wildlife. Haven't even started speaking about any of that. It just starts to reveal itself more and more and more. The ship combat. I've been really impressed with a lot of that, to be honest. It's been so fun. And again, like the more I'm playing, the more I'm like, I'm very excited by this. And again, I'll come back to that word. That is the word I keep feeling more and more the more I'm playing the game. It's like
Mm.
I'm just finding this exciting. I don't know where the story's gonna take me next. It's got its hooks in me, like some really interesting things have happened. Um I like when we play Monster Hunter and there's that kind of excitement when you fight a monster for the first time.
Yeah.
You don't really know what it looks like. You don't know how it's going to behave.
Hmm.
That's kind of how I feel every time I land on a new planet. What's going to be
Okay.
here? What's it going to look like? What's the weather going to be like? What am I going to find? What's the wildlife going to be like? What's the gravity? And I
Yeah,
think
it's
that's
quite
really
interesting.
compelling.
Mm.
Not in the sense that I want to land on every single planet, but every mission I do, every side quest I do, every companion quest I get lost in comes with that additional excitement
It's like another
of like
layer
what's
to
going
go
to
on
be like.
top of the
Yeah,
side quest story that you're experiencing. Yeah.
absolutely. So I think I guess just like while we're on the topic, like what are we thinking about the visuals? Because we're like what like we thought it looked quite good before, but I'm curious now that we've booted up and we've both played it, like how do you think the game looks?
Good. Yeah, yeah, really good. I actually thought it looked better than sort of the everything we looked at in like the what do they call it again? The showcase. Yeah, that showcase. I actually think it kind of looks better. Like in motion and actually playing it. Yeah, I think the animations are actually really good. Like you said, like enemy reactivity and even like the audio for just like guns and weapons and stuff like that, and enemies like voice direction and stuff like that. You can actually like pinpoint like where enemies are based on like what they're
Yeah.
saying and stuff like that. All that sort of to me adds to the immersion of graphics as well. Yeah, no, yeah, lighting is fantastic, like indoors and outdoors as well. Like there's always windows and
So
like
good.
light streaming inside the like little space hut you're in or something, and then yeah, outside looks great. Yeah, no, it looks really really good. A lot better than I was expecting it to look. I
Yeah.
still think yeah, facial animation stuff like that, they're great and a huge improvement, the
Mhm.
best it's ever been. You still get the occasional glazy eyed person, but generally very good. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with the visuals of this game, yeah, so far.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm with you. The only thing that I'm a bit annoyed about is that the game doesn't appear to have HDR, and there's no lighting slider either. Like I can't change. I'm sorry, I mean brightness slider. So
Mhm.
there are times where like these planets will look gorgeous and the lighting looks so good, but it looks a bit washed out. Like the blacks and whites aren't quite right.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
I don't know if that'll get added eventually. I think it was particularly bad, to be honest, on the first planet, the mining planet. It looked visually nice, but it just looked a bit washed out. The lights and the blacks weren't quite the contrast didn't feel right. So we'll see, but I'm sure that will get added. Um, uh, Animations. Yep, I'm with you there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There's so much I want to say. But I'm aware we're a bit over time. Tim, how are you doing for time? Are you wanting to wrap up sort of in the next few minutes?
Um, I could probably go for another like 10-15 minutes. That's fine. Yeah. So if you
Okay.
want to talk about some extra points, you can go for it.
Okay. Great. Um, I think the animations, like the face animations when you're talking to people, it's actually a lot better than I expected. I don't know. I think it looks worse when you're watching it out of game. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? But when you're actually in it and you're flicking between the subtitles, you're looking at the person in front of you, and the animations and all of that. I think it kind of works. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand it's not mocap or really impressive stuff like maybe Horizon, but I think it's quite good generally. To be
Mhm.
honest, and the texture work is so good. Half the time, I'm just admiring the like the spacesuits or the clothing they're wearing. The
Yeah,
textures look so good.
they do look really good. Yeah.
That's the two areas that like this game has like jumped light years ahead from the previous Bethesda games. Lighting and texture work is like phenomenal.
Mm.
Um, some of the other stuff can feel dated at times, but generally good. Um, so yeah, the other thing I wanted to talk about, Tim, is there's a lot of one of the big like controversies floating around at the moment is that the game has too many loading screens and has too much fast travel. You probably haven't had too much experience with that,
No,
but I just wanted to ask.
no, I
Okay.
haven't really at all. Like I've only done like a couple travels, so no, I don't really have too much to say on that.
So the my sense is that at any time the game is very liberal with allowing you to fast travel whenever you want. So if you're on a planet, you finish a mission, you can just boot up your map, go to your missions, hit take me to the right place in the star system, hold down X, and it will jump you straight to where you need to be. You don't even need to get any ship. You can just do
Yeah.
that if you want to do that.
Hmm.
And that's just the point. You can do that if you want to do that. If you would rather go to your ship, take off into orbit, have a look what's in orbit, and then jump there, you can do that.
Yeah.
Um, Also, the zones, like the cities, for example, there are a lot. It's not. It's very much like old Bethesda games. Like a lot of buildings you load into.
Yeah.
You click X, screen goes, you get a loading screen for 4 or 5 seconds, and then you're in. I mean, what's kind of your feelings about that? Because a lot of people have had mixed thoughts. It's like, oh, well, it should just be all seamless and open world. And I don't know. What's your thoughts on it still being like that?
Um, yeah, I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, considering if you're going into like a city and a planet and everything like that, you'd think like loading into that planet should load everything going on in that section and that area. So yeah, maybe you would expect all the doors to just open and no loading screens and everything just being quite seamless. Um, but I mean, I don't see it as a negative point. Like sure, it does feel a bit old school, and maybe it shouldn't be like that. But a 4 second loading screen or something like that is not the end of the world. Although, if you're sinking a lot of time into the game, I could see going in and out of buildings, and especially if it's a building that didn't really contain anything and you're already in there for a short period of time and then going back out, that's 8 seconds of loading for like nothing. Like that sort of stuff does mount up and might actually start to irritate you after a while. But I don't inherently see it as a massive negative. No, like not really at all.
Mm. Yeah, I'm the same. The only thing I will say is that at times there are a lot of them. Not that often, but sometimes you're wanting to go from place to place to place. And it does feel like there are a lot of them. They're never long. Well, they're very rarely long. It's not enough for you to put your controller down. Do you know what I mean? But I can understand some people feeling like, well, in the last sort of 5 years, all games have had these seamless open world things. Yeah, it's all seamless, and but this one doesn't. So yeah, it might be a bit of an expectation thing. I was a bit surprised, to be honest, when I learned that was the case. But it's not really
Mm.
affecting my enjoyment of the game. If that's what we need to make the game look good and to be generally this stable, so be it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Very occasionally, you do get a long loading screen. Like if you're loading into a busy planet, like one of the main planets, you will get a longer one that's maybe sort of 20 seconds. But then generally, after coming back to it, it's not that long. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because that's been a big talking point. And I suppose along the same lines, Tim, is kind of how space works. I mean, have you got a sense of how space works? Like, do we? Because I thought what they showed us at the direct gave us enough to understand. But
I mean, I know how it
space isn't
works.
like
Yeah, it's not like
yeah.
open world space and you just fly forever until you reach the next planet or whatever like that. Yeah, I'm aware of that based on what other people have said about it. Yeah, it's like its own small loaded area, like in orbit, and there's only so far you can go in that sort of area before you have to move to like a different planet that has its own orbit and its own space area that's been loaded and stuff like that. Yeah, I understand that's how it works. I don't have a problem with that as long as and when you're bouncing between planets, everything, you come across new stuff and procedurally generated stuff and events happen and stuff like that. I don't think it needs to be just some some big, I feel like it helps just condense it a little bit. Otherwise, the vastness of space, and if it was going for realism, I mean, Jesus, you could just be flying through space and rocks for like 5-10 minutes before you reach your next planet or something like that. And I feel like this is a good way to just condense it into things happening or quickly understanding, oh, there's not really much going on here, I'm just going to move to the next one and see if something like that. I feel like it's a decent way of doing it from what I understand, but I haven't experienced it. So
No, you are right. You are right. Yeah, and like the best way I think to describe it is that essentially space is like each planet has its own staging area.
yeah.
It's like especially if you're going to a new planet for the first time, you always have to go to space first. So there's always going to be times when you're in space, and that's ignoring any of the exploration you want to do. Apart from that, there are structures in space, like near planets, that you can just fly to. So it's not necessarily connected to a planet; it's just a space structure that you can fly to. I think really the problem here again is it feels like a bit more of an expectations problem, and I think that expectations problem came from all of these stupid fucking outlets calling the game No Man's Sky and making comparisons to No Man's Sky.
Yeah. Yes. There's a lot more in this game than No Man's Sky.
Right, it's just irritating because it set a lot of people up for the wrong impression of how it works. Because really, it's not anything like No Man's Sky. It's more like a Bethesda take on Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Do you know what? You like you go to these different areas and you load into these different areas. It's not, and like I think it's perfectly fair to say that that can take away from the feeling of seamlessness of a space epic. That's perfectly fair. I think the more you play, the more that fades and the illusion builds up. But I think it is a bit of an expectation problem. And the vistas from space are so pretty. I will say, actually, just in case the listeners don't know, you can. I tweeted about this. You can, if you take a screenshot or a photo from the in-game photo mode, it will get added to the slideshow of loading screens that you get. So, like, your photos will come up, and
cool.
I have some. I could win some awards for some of the photos I've taken.
Wow, check you out.
Yeah. I'm big.
Yeah, it is cool though. It's a nice little touch.
It's a nice little touch. Okay, then. Well, as we round down the conversation, the last thing then I was was burning to touch on was bugs. You have any bugs in your 2 hours?
Nope, no bugs. I'm all good. Clean sailing for now.
That's good. You got the insecticide out. No worms in your ears.
Nope.
I've had a few bugs. I will agree with everyone that it's the least Bethesda game, the least buggy Bethesda game ever, quite easily. But it's not bug free. It does still have some Bethesda-y jank where like the AI pathing is a bit weird. They'll walk into walls every now and again and walk into someone and zip up on top of them and then come back down. There is some of that immersion breaking stuff every now and again. Generally, it's pretty good. I have had 2 bad bugs in my 25 hours. One was when I got arrested and I was unable to move. Like I was in the cell and I just couldn't move in the game. I just had to watch people living their stupid little fucking lives, like walking about and doing their thing. So that I had to load for that. That wasn't a problem. And another one was that I came out of a building on one of the other cities and the lighting had just died. Like everything was black. It was really weird. And then it kind of popped back in and then the game hung for a few seconds. And I was like, okay, this isn't right. So again, I loaded it and it was not a problem. So it's not bug free. But they are quite far and few between. Again, 25 hours and two bigger bugs. Some minor ones I've had, like minor, just like aesthetic things.
Generally sounds okay.
But overall, generally very good. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because I think some of the excitement from the leakers was that there was kind of a bug-free experience. I don't think it's bug-free. I think there are some, but yeah, generally very good.
Yeah, no, I have seen meme videos of people playing stupid music over like an NPC, like you said, walking into someone and shooting up, and they're like, "This is Starfield. This is Xbox's next game," and it's just like, "What? Okay, you took like a 2-second slice from something that happened." But yeah, no, I mean, you not that you come to expect that sort of thing, but you know, in a game, you know, this big, this vast, with so many things going on, it's not, you're going to see some visual stuff. Like no game is clean and bug free. It's just fact.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's like, I don't think we should give Bethesda that leniency. Like, to be fair, I don't think we should be like, yeah, okay, you're just allowed to have loads of bugs. And there isn't loads of bugs here. So I think that's great. I'm glad that they took the extra time that they needed to really get this polished for the most part. So that's great.
Yeah.
There were just what was it? There were just 2 things I wanted to highlight that are things that have been bothering me.
Okay.
The navigation in this game is kind of ass sometimes. It just really struggles to point you in the right direction. If you want to find something, it's quite hard. A lot of people have criticized the UI. I don't think the UI is actually a problem. I haven't had a problem with the UI, but you want to get to a vendor? Good luck. There's no map showing you how to get to one. You want
I
to
hate that.
go to a shop so you can sell your stuff? Good luck trying to find one. You just have to use your eyes. You just have to go to a city and use your eyes. Like there's no map. You can't open a map and have a look and see waypoints of where they are.
Yeah, that is a bit annoying.
You get used to it. You get used to it, and once you figure out where they are on the main cities, it's not that hard. They try and make it obvious for you. It is no longer an issue, but that has been a problem. So there is that. And the other thing I want to say, that it's just a huge pest for me, is dialogue overlap. Dialogue keeps overlapping, and it's obviously because the game's dynamic and it has loads of things going on at once. And that's not to say I don't think dialogue shouldn't overlap at times, because that's like kind of immersive. You know, if someone's having a conversation over there and I'm having a conversation here, and I can hear that in earshot and that flags up a quest, like that's kind of fine. But there are times where it's like there's critical dialogue I'm trying to listen to, and then there's 6 other people having important conversations at the same time.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened loads. It's just happened. It's just particularly like a thing that really winds me up. So it's happened a few times. So those are just 2 things I wanted to highlight at this stage that like have bothered me. But you know, my overall, if you couldn't tell, my overall vibe is like really good.
Yes.
If I'm supposed to believe, the game just gets better and better and better the more that you play it. And as well, like just to reiterate, everyone keeps raving about this new game plus. Everyone keeps raving about it.
It's
I
exciting.
don't know what it is. I'm not going to look into it. But some people have said just beeline the main story and then start like for your first playthrough, and then afterwards, then start worrying about faction side stuff, because it's that good, and it's like,
Wow.
I have no idea, but that's it's really exciting. And I think some people have said that they haven't seen a game do what Starfield's done with New Game Plus before. You know, like Gene Park in particular said that. Who's Washington Post? Like he made the comparison to Nier Automata, which I don't know if you've played, but that has again, I've never seen a game have an approach to New Game Plus that game does. Like it's part of the story, basically. I suspect something similar is going on here, but I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah,
it is interesting. Which I think is somewhat kind of poetic, right? That there's kind of this community mystery. Obviously, a lot of people know what it is, but there's kind of this mystery, this allure at the end of it all of like, what is it?
Yeah.
What's out there? What's out there? What waits for me at the end of it all? You know?
Yeah, no, that is quite cool, and it's just something to look forward to, and know that there's like a good longevity to this game. I mean, there's always longevity to BGS games, but like to that extent, yeah, it's quite exciting. And it also kind of takes the pressure off of like the FOMO, right? Like when you play a game like this, you know, you always get a bit of FOMO of like, oh, should I be doing side quests? I feel bad just beeline in the story, you know, that sort of thing. But then, you know, when things like this come out and they're like, no, beeline the story, you know, then do everything else in New Game Plus, it's a better experience, stuff like that. And, you know, you can, yeah, you feel a bit better about how you're approaching the game, or just doing main story in the first playthrough. Yeah,
definitely. And like I will say, you can tell a lot more effort has gone into the main story this time around. Like the quest, like actually just across the board, the quest variety is so much better. Like it's just they really leverage all the systems all the time to make the quests feel different. And again, that leverages your role playing, you know, that leverages your skills and your traits at the same time. So I think all of that works together. The quest design of this game is pretty excellent.
yeah.
So if I'm still in the slow part of the game, you know, quote unquote, I'm very excited for what is to come in the next 20, 40, 60 hours, you know. And that's not, we haven't spoke about mods today, but I'm sure Bethesda will talk about that in due course.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, no, it's very exciting. Yeah, the future is bright. Starfield, wearing my sunglasses.
Hell yeah. I mean, that was it, wasn't it? That was the whole gag.
Yeah.
So feeling really good about it. I'm probably sitting at like a 9 at the moment.
Nice.
There are times where this game feels like an 8.5, and there are times where the game feels like a 10. So I'd probably say I'm about a 9.
Split it down the middle. Yeah, 9.
if I'm still in the slower bit and I've got all this exciting stuff to look forward to, and like I'm still fleshing out my character, and like all of the world is continuing to react to my decisions and stuff, I think we're in for a good time, buddy.
Yeah,
We did it.
we did it.
Xbox did it. All it took was a
Bethesda did
7
it.
billion acquisition.
Yeah, finally did it. Buy our way to the top.
Hell yeah, that's how we do it. Yeah, did you know Xbox has two games in the Open Critic 2023 Hall of Fame?
Wow,
No other publisher has that. Hi-Fi Rush and Starfield.
it's
Out
pretty
there.
exciting. It's pretty
They're
good.
out there.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, guys. Starfield's out. What the fuck are you doing? Listen to the shitty podcast. Go
Yeah.
explore the galaxy,
Or listen
or
to
at
it
least
while
at the very least,
play it. Yeah.
yeah. Like we're a radio. Like we're the radio in the ship. You know, it's good stuff.
Oh, let me
This has
jingle.
been. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
This has been Deck and Tim, Galactic Emperors, signing colonizers. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Just signing out of today's podcast. We'll catch you on the flippity flippity when Tim's played some more hours
Tonight.
and hopefully tonight, yeah, and hopefully momentum just keeps going, baby. Oh, fucking the Steam sales were like the concurrent players was like 250k for early access. That's just nuts. We'll see what happens on Wednesday.
That is pretty crazy, actually. Yeah, quarter mil for early access. Wow. Yeah.
It was near what Halo had for its actual free-to-play launch.
Jesus, that's big. That's
Alright.
big. It's big.
Exciting times, fellas.
Yeah.
We'll
Go
see
enjoy
ya
it.
Next week. Go enjoy
Make
it.
sure you
Have a good
eat.
fucking time.
Make sure you drink. But
Yeah.
enjoy Starfield.
Pizza.
Enjoy.
Space pizza.
Enjoy it responsibly. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye, guys.